Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Transparency.
You know, ponies often ask me, Court, do you really have that much pony merchandise? To which I inevitably must answer, you have no idea. Well, I thought I'd take this opportunity to try out my new camcorder as I'm getting ready to go to Brony next weekend to give it a try and show you guys what I've got. So why don't you join me as we take a little walk through my house looking at all of my pony merchandise. This should be pretty fun. Okay, we start out here in my office/computer room where I do have these 2 wonderful posters that are actually hanging on the wall. I've got a number of other posters that never made it up on the wall, but you know, these 2 are, and they look beautiful. Especially the one on the left. It's really my favorite, I think for obvious reasons. Over to the computer desk. Oh, what do we have here? Okay, tons and tons and tons of ponies, right? These are some small plushies I have. There's a Derpy. That is a My Little Pony 35mm camera. Yes, that takes 35mm camera pictures. There's a pair of My Little Pony binoculars, My Little Pony duct tape, My Little Pony headphones are in that bag. You have the black Funkos full size. You have some more plushes. You have little black Funko Daring Do. Rainbow Dash. It's actually a custom 3D printed Rainbow Dash. Look at that. That is the glitter Luna next to the Princess Twilight. We've got a little My Little Pony pen. There are some trading cards and stuff just hanging out. You got over here by our Lonesome. You've got the great and lonesome Trixie. Another black Twilight there, of course. Let's see, down on my keyboard right now, I've just got some My Little Pony stickers. These are some pretty cool metallic stickers. Thinking of putting on a computer case. This is where I take my notes in this My Little Pony notebook, and I use the My Little Pony pen. Oh, and what's this? That is the Paper Pony Derpy from 2014's Grand Brony Gala. And down on top of, oh, hello. That appears to be a My Little Pony calendar. That is from, 2015, I guess. I should probably have put that up on my wall. Down here we've got the full-size fashion style Sparkle next to a vinyl scratch plush. We have a cup. We have a shit ton of vinyls. Yeah. A lot of them are clear, as you notice. Vinyl scratch is clear, Applejack, Derps, Octavia, of course Twiley. Twiley is best pony. Come on, Twiley. Best pony. Yeah. And next to second best pony. Nice. I may or may not be handing out these ribbons at Brony-kun. If you guys see me and want to show your support of the Corpulent Cartel, well, there you go. You can do it with a ribbon. And if you happen to be a Twi friend, you can show that support as well. It's wonderful, eh? Oh. Yeah. Is that a Twiley King? Finally, yeah, it arrived from Cider, straight from Australia. That is a, let's see here. That is a 3D printed head. Beautiful, huh? On real metal. Pretty cool. Okay, finally I got a Sweetie Drops glitter one, still in the box. Haven't opened that one up yet. I'm planning those up eventually. Maybe I can show you what they look like. Yeah, I'm gonna put those up at some point.
Hey Max, how you doing?
Good.
So Max, tell us about like how did you know Libby? Tell us about that, if you would.
School, friendship, pretty young age, best friends.
Yeah, you guys were best friends, right? And she was talking with you on the night of the 13th, wasn't she? Yeah.
She was.
What was she wanting you guys to come?
Hang out at the bridge that day, hike. But I had other plans.
Yeah, so
with my dad.
You weren't able. Yeah, there was a big farm sale, so that was something that was unusual, and so you ended up going with
my dad.
Yeah, with your dad, and then I know it was really hard for you. I know you went through a lot of hard times,
I found this interview just a couple days ago. Max is a good friend of Libby, and something that I thought was interesting is that Max was asked by Libby if he wanted to come to the trails and hang out at the bridge and hike and stuff like that, and that was asked of him the night before. So why would Libby ask another boy to come and hang out with her if she was meeting up with this hot
So
model?
now here we are. We're at the Delphi United Methodist Church. We've got an arrest with this guy. What were all your friends thinking? Were they kind of thinking that this was?
Well, everybody I've talked to thought this was just out of the blue weird. I mean, but it does make sense more than I actually read into it, look at it.
Well, so what were you guys thinking after the girls were murdered? What were your thoughts like about who did this? What was kind of the consensus among your friends?
Really, I don't think there was fingers pointed at that time.
Or even a thought about why? Did anybody?
Nobody could know why. Could figure out why.
Did you think this was like at the time random, or do you think?
Oh, it was very random. Yeah.
And so you didn't think it was like targeted or anything, or there was anything going on. So there were some people that you were talking to, that Libby was talking to. Did Libby tell you about some of these guys, or a guy?
Only a specific 19-year-old, not anybody specific.
Yeah,
Nothing specific.
and that was on Snapchat, right?
It was.
And so I remember back in 2017, and I went on a YouTube channel. I was talking about it. That's when we met for the documentary, right, with Mike Grasso and Robin Uni, and
Lifetime.
Yeah, Lifetime.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was completed, but there was some legalities where, so it's still sitting there, and it still may surface at some point in time. But when Libby, when you got home, I said, "Hey Max, tell me when you, what was the date that Libby first told you about this person?" And you were able to pull it up.
I was able to pull it up, but I don't.
I remember.
I don't
December
remember.
26,
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
And she had said, "Hey Max, this guy wants to meet me. Should I meet him?" And then you told her
No.
because you're like, "How do you
order to connect the dots in Delphi, you have to start from the beginning. And Max pretty much can start us from the beginning. He says that he was talking to Libby that night, and there was talks about going to the bridge. So this was not something that just came up that day, the day that they disappeared. Also, Max lets us know that December 26, 2016 is the first interaction that Libby had with the Anthony Shots account. Max's interview really helps us determine that it was 2 months prior to the girls' murders that Anthony Shots was engaging and trying to quote-unquote meet up. So the talking to the Anthony Shots account on February 13th no longer, in my opinion, is as significant as it would have been if that was the first time that they had ever communicated, or the first time that they ever said they were planning on meeting up. That was not. So I believe that plays a bigger role now in, does the Anthony Shots account really have anything to do with Abby and Libby's murders? With the girls knowing that they had that Monday off, as well as the majority of the community knowing that they had that Monday off, this plays, I think, a bigger role in the murders of Libby and Abby due to the fact that it was pre-planned for not just Libby and Abby, but numerous people to be meeting up at that bridge, at the trails, due to the fact that they did not have school. This gave an opportunity to a couple persons to be able to plan something at the trails, knowing that there would be traffic with students, and possibly particularly these two students. Again, connecting the dots in Delphi, you have to start from the beginning. And I wanted to look into where Libby and Abby were that weekend. Libby attended a sleepover. That sleepover was at the Smith residence. And the Smith residence had two boy twins that were about 5 years older than the age of Libby and Abby, as well as, I think it was like a 10-year to 12-year gap of the year older sister of the girl that Libby was staying over there with. It was her friend that was in her grade. That girl's sister was older. She was living there as well. When I looked into this household, I found that a couple people shared or used a email address that was UltimateBrony, not like pony, but Brony 125, UltimateBrony 125.
Twilight's hanging out everywhere. That is some sort of purse or something. Obviously, I don't use purses, so they hang. Oh, there's another one. Another Twilight. Oh, the famous bathroom. What? Yeah. Yeah. We in here now. Of course, this is where the whole bathroom brony thing comes from, right? Yeah? Okay, so, yeah, a lot of this you've probably already seen if you've seen the bathroom brony video, right? I've got, towels. The shower curtain is still up, of course. I could never take that thing down. Look how pretty it is. All those Twilights. And, let's see down here. Still have this. I don't really use it, though, because I've got, like, a real trash can, but whatever. We still got the towels hanging up. A couple of them, whatever. Yeah, that's a bathroom pretty much now. And here, this is a big-ass mess. But you know what? I don't give a fuck. You guys can all see my mess. Whatever. Because I do have some pony shit in here, too. This is my closet of pony shit, I guess. I don't know. Up here, you've got... See, the My Little Pony Monopoly game. This Oh yeah, that's the My Little Pony. Yeah, Twilight Sparkle wig and shit. It's for like Halloween, you know? Just like this bucket I think was for Easter or Halloween or some shit. Oh, let's see. My Little Pony, the Game of Life. What do you know? The Rainbow Magic game. Yeah. This big ass bucket that I was talked into buying for some dumbass reason. I don't really know why.
That has to do with fetishes of My Little Pony. Adult males mostly dressing up like My Little Pony. Very interesting, to say the least.
Into the cemetery, and some people, to me, this would be one of the smartest places if you're going to hide and commit a crime and get in and out if you're driving a vehicle, or even one of the back roads, one of the country roads. But as you can see, this kind of comes down the hill a little bit, and there was an area it's kind of grown over now, but that you could back in here. You could back in there and your car could be hidden from the road. Let's see if I can, because you're downhill now, so you can't even see the road from down here. And of course we're coming to this little fence that's on the other side is Ron Logan's house. I might just jump out real quick just to show you. This is where the fence is Ron Logan's property, but here's how far. The girls were way down the ravine, way down there, okay? So for Ron Logan to even know what's going on in his backyard, I just want to show you that his house is way over there. That's it. So that is where he's not paying attention to everything that's going down here. He can't keep track of it. So again, there's the road up there.
Now, this is an aerial view of where the girls were dropped off, where the bridge is, Dare Creek, the cemetery. So take a look. So they're dropped off where that green dot is on the lower left. This is your cemetery. You'd make a right into it or a left, depending on which way you came, and you'd be able to go all the way back. That's where she just was. So Ron Logan's is to the left. That light green path, those were the private drive paths you'll see.
Typical teen, 14, going on 25. Libby was a person that made it a point to make people feel good. We didn't realize just a lot of the stuff that she had done until all of this had happened and people come to us and tell us some of the stories of how she affected their lives. She made her math teacher, painted her a picture and put on there and had stuff on it and said, "Of course I have problems. I'm a math teacher." I mean, these are the kinds of things that she just did all the time for people.
You talked about that when she came home from school, she would leave a trail so she could find her.
Oh, yes.
You could always find her, right? Because she left you a trail.
Yep, there would be a backpack laying somewhere, shoes laying somewhere, socks laying somewhere. She'd get her books out to do her homework and get sidetracked. And yes, it was constantly, Libby. Another thing she loved to do when she'd come home, though, was bake. She was our baker. She could throw together a batch of cookies like nobody. She'd come in, have it done in half an hour or so, cookies laid out for everybody to eat the rest of the night.
Now, were there cookies for you, sir, when you got home from work?
Absolutely. yeah, she would do a good job. She did.
Did you leave 1 or 2 behind, or did you have your own stash?
She'd save a couple for sure to make sure Grandpa got a couple.
And photography, you mentioned before, was something that they loved. She loved, you say that there are hundreds and thousands of pictures.
Yes.
What did she see? What was there to see out in Delphi, Indiana, that you have so many pictures?
Nature. She took lots of pictures of flowers, the bridge, the water, each other. Her and her sister both. They'd go out here in the winter and they'd do photo ops in the corn, peeking out of the corn, and just they were different poses on the road and picking up odd objects and just doing different things. They just loved doing that.
Mike, could you think of how many more pictures can this individual take? You've taken a picture of every cornfield, every bridge, every waterway in Delphi. Were you just amazed at what she was able to see through that lens?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's how she captured moments with her friends as well as the family. It's kind of her expression.
There were a lot of them, but as you look at those pictures now, do they take a different significance? Do you see her world in a different way?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're looking at what she saw out there. Before I would just look at the picture and say, okay, that was her and her friends, and they were at a certain place doing a certain thing and having fun. But now, you're looking at it, what was she really experiencing at that time? It's kind of different. It's hard to explain, but...
Yeah. And what do you think that is? Because you just talked about that she loved the outdoors. Do you sense now, as you look at those pictures, that there was this young girl, teenage girl, who was saying to everyone around her, look, I love the world, I love this beauty, I love the outdoors, I love my home.
Yeah. The only problem is now there will be no more of them. So we have to keep those. They mean a lot more than they did.
On February 13th, 2017, according to Becky Patty, Derek left for Frankfurt to take pictures for Becky. Becky says that Derek was at her residence that morning. So why didn't Derek drop the girls off at the bridge on his way to Frankfurt to take pictures? Since the time of the murders, Derek German has been using an address in Staten Island, New York. The same address was finalized and purchased on February 15th, 2017, the day after the girls were found. I don't blame Derek. I would not be able to be around that area either.
Water. And as you can see, there's a lot of rotten pieces here. Just kind of letting you guys get an idea of what it's like here. Stop here. I want to just turn right back around. This is about where Abby got a picture, or Libby got a picture of Abby. Okay, so Ted and I are walking to the other side, and we are holding hands because it's pretty intimidating. And as you can see, you're still pretty high up off the ground. There's a ground down there, and we'll kind of let you feel like you're walking with us. Lots of rotten railroad ties, but you can kind of skip them. Now, if you've looked at any of the video of the guy that actually recreated where the girls were. I think, I want to turn around, Ted, for just a second right here. I think they got over right here, maybe.
Right here, I think they got over
right there, down toward the end. Yeah,
He waited till they got across.
yeah, he waited, and then he started coming. That's right. So we're not probably right to the spot. I'll stop this, and then yeah, I'll just keep going. So it might be a little bit of a long video. We'll see if I can upload this to Facebook here. Yeah, but I do believe that when the girls saw him coming a little bit faster, so you can walk a little faster now. Ooh, ooh, ooh. A little nerve-wracking here. Hang on. You can walk just a little faster. Oops, there's some really, really, really rotten ones. And I think the girls got all the way up here. Do you see that platform all the way up to the left? There's one here to the right. I think they got up to that platform. So bear with me. As long as my phone will allow me to record until I have to actually delete some of this stuff, I will. I want to just kind of show you. Oops. Okay, where we are. It is pretty tricky to get across this, and not everyone's just going to come across this. You have to have maybe done it before, or to do it by yourself. You got to really be on a mission. And
Ever since the DA put out that Richard Allen did not act alone, this video has me
it doesn't look bad.
convinced that this path
Ted, is that can we stop for just a second? I just want to show you.
that you will see
See how far down it is.
right here. These are private drive paths, ATVs, cars can even be on them.
So there's where we came from. Look at this driveway. Okay, alright, that might explain a few things. Okay, so I think the girls are like, man, this guy's really coming fast. You go see this platform here? He got coming a little faster. And can we get off toward the left there, honey?
Remember, Abby had never crossed the bridge before. This was going to be her first time.
And I think they got off letting him come by like this. Oh, there's the other part of the driveway. Okay, let's finish this. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, guys, bear with us. I'm just trying to give you an idea what it's like to cross this baby.
It is like they vanished into thin air after the
Now
post
you
snap.
can really speed up here 'cause
With the
you're
bridge
getting
picks.
in, and it's a lot easier to go faster. Now, could it be? Now I think this little path. Do you see this? Do you see this driveway? You could easily say down the hill, and you could go down. Looks like people slid down. Look at this. It looks like people have come down this way and slid down this hill. There's where it stops right there. There's some police tape right there. Do you think they came all the way back here and down the hill? Or do you think they're just keeping people off of that property right there? That might be that nice property.
That's a red barn.
Oh. Okay, so as we walk through here, I'm going to see if I can hone in on the very back of this property. It's definitely roped off. I think they want people to stay off
Private property.
this man's property. Yep, you can see a guy. He's out there working on something. But there is a little house back in there. You see the little red barn looking thing? Little red barn there. Looks like maybe there was a deer stand. I do believe that this little driveway down here is private property. And I want you guys to see something. If you can. You can see, I'm going to hone in on this across here. You can see the
There's more pony shit in here, like this pony blanket. Yeah. I think there's other pony blankets. There's another one shoved back in there. Just trust me on that one. It may be a Draw Ponies blanket, so whatever. I think there's another one in there, unless the mayor friend stole it. So I don't know. Okay, next room, the family room. Up in here we have the boxes, the stack of shame. These are the Funko boxes that I've opened and for some reason haven't gotten around to throwing out the boxes yet. Mostly because I think the mayor friend puts them up here, and then I just forget about them. You know, it's like, oops. A few of my movies. Pause it, I'm sure, and look at some of them. Oh, look, it's the married couple. Oh, aren't they sweet? Okay, go. Oh. Okay, now, guys, seriously. We are going to look at the majority of my plushes. Not all of them, the majority, right now. There you go. I keep them here, below my television. This is the special one the mayor friend made for me, of my IOC. You have a Twilight Sparkle, 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 another Twilight.
Wish I could walk. I might. You know what I'm gonna try to do is see if I can get some.
Alrighty, and guys, welcome to Truth and Transparency. I'm going to go over a couple different things with the video. I noticed that a couple of you guys caught it, the My Little Pony duct tape. But why this is even coming about, when I was researching, I came across where Libby had a slumber party. Her friend, same age, she had an older sister, and then she had two older brothers that were twins. Well, the dad, one of the brothers, and then the older sister, they all linked to this email address that was UltimateBrony 125 at, wherever. And so I looked into this and was like, what is this? Well, there's like a cartel mixed up with this. Okay. Again, I think somebody caught that earlier and wrote it in the comments. I was going to highlight it, but I didn't want to. Right there, Mystical mentioned it. That's a triggering comment, so. But, so here, where Libby spent the night on that Saturday night, one, if not all, I don't know if these are hidden fetishes, but UltimateBrony, am I saying that right? It's like my pony, but it's Brony. UltimateBrony 125 at, whatever. They dress up. They will go to it's like going to like Crime Con, but a bunch of males dressed up as My Little Pony characters. It's like called Brony Con, and I think you heard him talk about that. Anyways, I was like, so this links, this email. Now, I went and looked at all the property that surrounded that area when you actually get over the bridge. Because let's say that the girls don't go over the bridge. Okay? Not too many people like to cross that bridge because it's like it's scary. Who wants to cross that bridge? So if the plan was to abduct, this was a premeditated affair, well, how do you know they're going to go over the bridge? How do you know they're even going to go that, to walk over that? Unless it was maybe talked about. And that's where I go back to the Max interview. And it was not a thing that just popped up, that afternoon. Oh, can you just take us to the trails? Max says, I was asked to go, but I had to go do something with my dad. And I was with my dad. And he makes it known about 3 times that he was with his dad. But he didn't go, but Libby asked him, to go. So was it talked about that, they were going to be crossing the bridge? Oh my God, Abby's never done it. We're going to go out there. Yada, yada, yada. But the properties that surround that side. So Ron Logan is on the other side. But the properties that butt up to that side. You could search them, and you're going to find that, let's see. You're going to find that there's a Jeffrey at the property is 6091 252. 2 months after the murders, $123,000 loan or equity line or refi was 2 months after on that home, pulling out $123,000. Now, one might not think that's a big deal to do that on April 11th, 2017. But when I came across that name, I was like, I've seen that name before. Well, lo and behold, that name links to the property that Libby spent the night at for the slumber party. The construction and build of the 2,000-year home where Libby spent her slumber party at on that Saturday night. That Jeffrey, links to Prince William, whatever it's called, road where Abby spent the night. Now, at the time of the deaths of these two amazing souls, I looked into the addresses of where people were living or at least getting their mail. Because for whatever reason, a lot of people in Delphi have numerous addresses that are attached to themselves and their aliases. But something that stuck out to me was that David Erskine and Derek German, they had been neighbors or at least used Boone's Curve Road, which has little property. It's like a rundown farm, but there's 3 different pieces of property that, one could rent out their little houses. And in 2017, they had 2 of these properties that don't know what they used it for, don't know if they stayed there, not too sure, but definitely can link them there for 3 years. Meaning like from 2013 or 14 until 2017. If you go to Boone's Curve Road, addresses such as 4930, 4950, 4938, 4932. It's like a cluster on like a property, like a farm. But immediately after the murders, I don't know if these were not livable, what they were used for. But in 2018, all of this property is bought up for pennies. One of the pieces, $1,500. The other piece, $400. Then the main house, $56,000. And that was on 10/15/2018. When you're getting transferred property for like $4,500, $400, the biggest question mark for me with when you follow the money was, like I said, I don't blame any parent on how they would react to anything like this. I don't blame Derek German or whoever it would be to get out of Dodge. I would have, living in a small town and all you can think about is, your daughter being murdered every day that you wake up, or if it was like a sibling or a grandchild. So how anybody would ever react to something like that, I don't think that it is on us to judge that at all. But in terms of if you're from an investigator standpoint and you want to solve a homicide, or in this standpoint, 2 homicides, a double murder, Richard Allen was arrested and charged with felony murder because I believe that Richard Allen, in their opinion, committed a felony. And because of that felony, a murder then, happened. So that's why he was charged felony murder. They believe that Richard Allen is bridge guy. Well, I've always said this double homicide is in the smallest window, in my opinion. And how could this not have something to do with Anthony Schott's account? Well, Max helped me out with that. Anthony Schott's account was around since December 26th. This was planned, and Max was asked, unless he is lying, to go there. I don't think any girl would bring another guy to go meet another guy. So I know I have a lot of parents that watch my channel, and I want you to think about this. If your child was supposed to meet you at the trail, and they're not there, and they don't drive, and they don't have friends that drive because they're 13 and 14 years old. You're trying to call, you can't answer, or there's no answer. Why would you ever leave searching those trails? Why would you ever think that they wouldn't be there? Especially if you thought that they got hurt climbing and whatnot. Especially if they posted to social media and posted that they were on the bridge. So someone like a friend or a sister would have seen that story or seen that snap and would have said, oh, here's a picture, and they were at the, they were at the bridge. They weren't at a basketball court. They were at this bridge. Because social media is the quickest way to track somebody down nowadays. If I want to know where my friends are at, I could, look at their story on Facebook or look at their story on Snapchat. And her older sister would have known this. Their friends do that. But you're going to start making phone calls like the other parent. Hey, did you grab them by chance? You're going to ask and call around to other friends to say, hey, is Libby with you? Those type of phone calls. And the police were called, in my opinion, very quickly. If you think about it. If you think about Mike leaving Lafayette at 4 o'clock, getting there at 4:30, they look around for a little bit, and then calling the police by, according to his interviews, around 5 o'clock because it was about to get dark. I would never stop searching that area unless I had a reason to, unless I thought that they were not there, and something would have to give me a pretty good idea of that. Because I know that my kid can't leave that area without a vehicle. So who and how is my kid leaving that area? If I know my kid well enough, is my kid going to just walk? Because if that was the case, if you wanted to go to the bridge so bad, then you would have just walked there with your friend. The other thing that's always bothered me with this case is Becky Patty makes it pretty clear that you are, you need to have a ride home. So if your sister's going to take you to the bridge or to the trails, that's fine, but I can't pick you up. So who's picking you up? Call your dad right now and see if he can come pick you up. Well, those plans would have had to be made prior to leaving that house, because I know that I'd be saying, okay, hey, who's picking you up? Okay, you're leaving with Kelsey. I get all that, but did you talk to your dad? Okay, yeah, he's going to pick me up, or he's going to pick us up, whatever. And that phone call was supposed to happen before they ever left. So something that's always bothered me is that phone call happened in the vehicle when the girls were just about to get out of the vehicle at the trails. That's when they called and asked if Derek could pick them up. I've always struggled with that. So if you think it's going to be multiple people, That's what law enforcement is saying now, basically, that Richard Allen did not act alone. And there's multiple people. How do multiple people leave unseen? Well, they left that area. They went to the police station. They went and got tablets to turn over to them. But if Libby just was going off with friends or whatever, when you're calling her, why isn't she answering just to tell you that? She was disabled from her phone, in my opinion, very quickly, like almost like immediately. Nobody hears screaming, but yet there's all these people allegedly there. Nobody hears screaming. Did anybody hear ATVs? Was that even ever asked? But in my opinion, if you're talking about a felony murder and now multiple people, how would you know that Libby and Abby were even going to cross that bridge to be able, for that to be the spot, to pull an abduction there? Because nobody ever crosses that bridge. People are too scared to. Like, they'll go like a couple steps and then they come back. So how do you know that those girls are going to cross that bridge? Because you need them to cross that bridge if you're trying to get them to go down the hill to then get into a vehicle that would be on that, path right there, or an ATV. Yeah, please consider becoming a member of Fight for Family or Truth and Transparency. I'm going to check out chat now. Again, I want to play just this beginning part one more time.
I'm sitting here with Max Newberger. Hey Max, how you doing?
Good.
So Max, tell us about how did you know Libby? Tell us about that, if you would.
School, friendship, pretty young age, best friends.
Yeah, you guys were best friends, right? And she was talking with you on the night of the 13th, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was.
Was she wanting you guys to come?
Hang out at the bridge that day, hike.
Mm-hmm.
But I had other plans.
Yeah, so
with my dad.
You weren't able. Yeah, there was a big farm sale, so that was something that was unusual, and so you ended up going with
my dad.
Yeah, with your dad, and then.
Max's story to me is the same that Carrie gave, because Carrie said, no, they had plans to go to the trails. And he's saying it right here, that she asked me, hey, you want to come hiking and go to the trails or whatnot? So I don't believe that you would ask another boy to come with you if you were meeting up with another boy. Especially he's saying that when she asked me about it in December 26th, he's like, no, why would you go meet up with somebody that you don't even know? And I think that they're getting confused when they're saying the night of the 13th. Okay, this is the night of the 12th. And he had plans with his dad, and he makes that known like 3 different times. But it's important, I think, to talk about the fact that I believe that multiple people in that community that were younger or even, high school, they were going to hang out in that area because they didn't have school. So this would have been known by parents of Delphi. This would have been known by, obviously, the kids. And this is where it would be like, hey, can you take me out, up to the trails and drop me off? Like, we're going to meet up with people, or we're going to go there and, do whatever. But Libby asking multiple people, in my opinion, isn't indicative of her trying to sneak around and meet up with Anthony Schatz. In fact, I think that it probably ended up causing a lot of cloudedness around this investigation because of that, because of the Anthony Schatz account. Now, let's go back to the morning of. I struggle with a couple things in terms of if Derek is leaving to go take pictures for Becky for property and is heading out, to Frankfurt and going to go take these pictures and then, come back, and he's at the house. Well, why didn't Derek just drop the girls off at the trail? He's leaving anyways. Why not drop them off? Especially because she couldn't, right? She's doing something for work. But if Derek's leaving the house, why didn't the girls just hop a ride with Derek to go, and be dropped off at the bridge? Because I was listening to that story over and over and over of then, Derek just left 20 or 30 minutes before then, Kelsey comes in, and that's when Libby was like, hey, will you take us to the bridge? Maybe he had already left, but they asked to go to the bridge out, earlier in the day. He left to just go 20 minutes before then. Kelsey, quote unquote, coming in and Libby asking and her saying, well, I'm going to my boyfriend's before I have to go to work, so I can take you, but you have to get, a ride home. Kelsey's timeline of when, the girls got out of the vehicle centered around the phone call made to her dad from the vehicle. And I've always questioned that because you needed to make sure that he could take you prior to leaving the house, that you would have a ride. So why wasn't the phone call placed to Derek prior to that? Why wasn't the phone call placed when you're at the house? Okay, let me call Dad right now and hey, can you pick us up at she can take us, can you pick us up? Now I'm going to play devil's advocate with one other thing, which is how quickly would you call the police? And the only reason I bring this up is because I was just with the Christopher Watts case, and we see it all from Nicole Atkinson when she's arriving to the house at 12:20, and we think, she's freaking out, oh my God, her flip-flops are by the door. Oh my God, we reversed the car. The car's in the garage, but yet Nicole Atkinson didn't even bother going down to the pool to see if the kid, if they were there. She didn't exhaust any options before it was just I'm going to drive to where her doctor's appointment was, and then we need to call the police. But now, fast forward, and you find out that, okay, well, they had been looking for her all morning. So then when they called the police, it wasn't like you're calling the police from 12:20, okay, then you call the police, by 1:40. So it's only an hour and 10 minutes. That's what you think. But you come to find out, well, this has been going on all morning. So now you're looking at like 5 to 6 to 7 hours. And the reason I state this, the reason this is important to me, and some of you guys may not think it's important, and that's fine, is that the girls were not at the meetup place at like 3:15, 3:30. The cops were called by like 5. In my opinion, that's a very quick trigger to call the police in terms of what avenues were exhausted in that amount of time. Like, was Anna called? Were these friends called? Trying to track her down? Were text messages sent to Libby saying, hey, I don't know what you guys are trying to pull or whatever, but you need to answer the phone call. Like, we're about to call the police. Like, this isn't funny anymore. I don't know what you guys are doing. You guys are going to be in big trouble. Because these are all type of text messages. When you want to talk about a trial, this is all going to come out. So, people being put on the stand and having to answer questions on where they were and what they were doing, and this all leads to building a defense in terms of Richard Allen, or anybody for that matter. But to me, it just seems like it's very quick, and that I get it, it's dark, they're 13 and 14, awesome, but do you know what cops always tell us? Okay, they probably just, went off with some friends and are being, being naughty or bad or whatever. And if they don't come back, if you don't hear from them, by the morning, then we're going to go ahead, that's normally what people say, the cops say. The media was down there. The media was on, the local media was on this that night on the 13th. The media was on it. The local media. I hear when Mike Patty was saying that he was driving around, because I wouldn't be able to sleep either, so I don't blame him on that. But looking in nooks and crannies, where did you think that they were? Why didn't they think that they were in those woods? And I don't know if you guys know all this, but it comes out later that Libby's sister contacted the Anthony Shots account that night, because if you listen to the interviews, they said that they went home and they went and got devices, like whether it was like an iPad or laptop, whatever, and they brought them to the police department. So you're you're going through the devices, you're getting on, and then you come across the Anthony Shots account, and that account was messaged that night. And it was said, hey, have you seen my sister today? And then it was said back that, no, we were supposed to meet up, but she never met up. So all the friends are called. It's a small town, so, stuff travels fast. You're putting stuff on Facebook, like, hey, we can't find, Libby, Abby. But it was so fast and put on Facebook so quickly that another thing that I looked into was, like, Patty saying that people thought that they spotted the girls at the gym, at the basketball whether it was a practice or a game. And, so they went over there. For me, the thing that wouldn't sit well with me is that it's one thing if, like, a kid's ignoring a parent or a grandparent. But it's like, okay, hey, you get, tell one of her friends to be, like, messaging, her, and let's see if she answers her like that. Because that's where, for me, it would be like that. I would go that route. And if they're not answering a friend, they might not want to answer me as a parent or a grandparent because they're going to be in trouble or whatnot, or they're trying to, hang out for as long as they can and they know they're going to be grounded. But then you have to go back to, like, is that the type of kid? And everything on all these accounts was no. She's not that type of kid, and she has her phone on her hip and all these things. And so what time was this basketball practice or this game? Remember, the school was closed. All the school buildings were closed that day. They do allow people to practice, though, and play games even when school's closed. But somebody would have to see the Facebook post, then say, oh, I think I saw them, then actually try to make a connection. So maybe they just wrote on the Facebook comment section. I'm the type of person that's curious on how all of that took place. Again, the reason I ask all this is because this all seemed to me that it happened very, very quickly. That, I was supposed to pick up the girls. They weren't there at 3:15. Derek. Then Becky's called. Kelsey's called. Then Mike's called, who's at work. He's like, okay, well, I'll pack up and I'll leave work. Goes to the trails, gets there at 4:30. Searches around a little bit, and then, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call directly to the sheriff. Not 911, but to the sheriff. It makes it a point to say calling directly. Again, I have a 6-year-old. My 6-year-old turns an aisle before I do. I'm like searching in that area right where he was the last point I saw him. But I mean, I'm on it, and it's just like your heart drops. And then, you turn the aisle and boom, right, there they are. So for me, if I was supposed to meet my kid and they weren't there and they have a phone and I can't get a hold of them, especially like 3:15 in the middle of the day. This isn't like a Friday night or Saturday night. This is during the day. And then all the people that they asked, like, have you seen them? Have you seen Abby and Libby? And there's supposedly a bunch of people around that area. And everybody was saying no. No, no, no. So, again, it wasn't until the breaking news of Richard Allen didn't act alone. That changes everything, in my opinion. Because where are all these men hanging out? And then they're all trouncing through the water to then get to this spot in the woods. And then I look at the report from the Ron Logan probable cause. And they use the word staged. Another word for staged with bodies is moved, placed. Is at the original site. When you're talking about multiple people, how do you tell somebody in the woods, hey, we're at this location. How would anybody even know how to get to that spot? If it was like a meetup and this was like some, orchestrated, I know it's been talked about making a snuff film and stuff like that. Was this an abduction ransom that went wrong? Did people owe people a lot of money in terms of drugs? You're going to pay us, you owe us. And all that an investigator will do is, all of this is just on the table because it's so out there. Especially all of it comes on the table once the morning comes and the bodies are found at 12:15. Then you're thinking, who in the world could possibly do something like this? And then you're gifted with this video and this voice. And 5.5 years goes by to arrest, and you see it on his face. Well, when you were told that there was an arrest, it didn't make sense to us. You hear him say it, listen.
I know it was really hard for you. I know you went through a lot of hard times.
I found this interview just a couple days ago. Max is a good friend of Libby, and something that I thought was interesting is that Max was asked by Libby if he wanted to come to the trails and hang out at the bridge and hike and stuff like that, and that was asked of him the night before. So why would Libby ask another boy to come and hang out with her if she was meeting up with this hot model?
Now here we are. We're at the Delphi United Methodist Church. We've got an arrest with this guy. What were all your friends thinking? Were they kind of thinking that this was?
Well, everybody I've talked to thought this was just out of the blue weird. I mean, but
Everybody that we talked to thought this was out of the blue weird. Richard Allen being arrested and that name surfacing. Everybody thought out of the blue weird. And then he picks himself up by saying, well, then I read it and then it made sense.
it does make sense more than I actually read into it, look at it.
Well, Max must have some special powers because none of it makes sense to any of us. And I don't know what he's reading because there was nothing to read. Nobody even knew who Max was, or Richard Allen was. There's nothing on him.
Well, so what were you guys thinking after the girls were murdered? What were your thoughts like about who did this? What was kind of the consensus among your friends?
Really, I don't think there was fingers pointed at that time.
Or even a thought about why? Did anybody
Nobody could know why. Could figure out why.
Did you think this was like at the time random, or do you think?
Oh, it was very random. Yeah.
And so you didn't think it was like targeted or anything, or there was anything going on?
Oh, it was very random. Very random. Well, and so the only thing for me with the whole randomness is normally people didn't cross the bridge. People couldn't cross the bridge. They were afraid to cross the bridge. So how does any of this go down if they don't cross the bridge? So do you just hang out, stand around there until you see a couple of one person or a couple people go, okay, hey, we got some people that are, you get what I'm trying to say? I don't think anything got put into motion until you were over on the other side of the bridge. They weren't going to do anything on the other side of the bridge. But if you get them to go over the bridge, then that's what needed to happen because that's what put the plan in motion. Does that make sense? This doesn't happen, in my opinion, if you don't cross the bridge, because I don't believe that the plan could work. I think that those paths were used. Especially when you're talking about multiple people. Well, where are these multiple people going to be? Well, were any of that property, was it vacant? All you need to do is be able to get out of there. And then, like I said, was this something that then went way wrong? You know? But there's nothing. So how do they know that Libby and Abby are going to cross that bridge? Who got them to cross that bridge? Why did they cross that bridge? And I remember hearing like, oh, I think it was in one of Kelsey's interviews. It was about that, oh, me and my sister would go down there all the time. You know, we've crossed the bridge. But Abby had never crossed the bridge, you know. Well, so if she wasn't there, then how does she know that they crossed the bridge? Because just by seeing a picture, you wouldn't necessarily know if where that was taken. I mean, unless you examined it very, very, you know, closely. But at that time, I mean, did they even go over to the other side and cross that bridge? When they were searching that night when they arrived there and no one's answering, you know, did they even think that to go and cross that bridge and, you know, but it wasn't until a couple of these interviews that I went back over, and so I looked into the property, and so I followed some more of the money, and the paths, and those paths aren't able to be accessed unless you're on the other side of the bridge, which means the people that you need to abduct need to get over there. And then go to the fact that why can't the 43 seconds be released in its entirety? So now I'm going to turn it over to hear from everything that I've said. Oh, what the last thing that I want to say is on February 15th, 2017, there was a Staten Island house that was purchased by taking a $565,000 loan. The transaction began on January 29th of 2017, and it was finalized on February 15th, 2017. And this would then go on to be an address that has been used, whether or not they live there or not, by Derek German. And February 15th is the day after the girls were found. I don't know if Derek ended up, before the murders, deciding that he was going to move or anything like that. I'm not sure. Like I said, I just follow the stuff that's out there with public searches, but I just work a little bit differently. So and again, this is not saying anything in terms of blaming anybody. This is just about when you need to find out who could possibly be responsible for this and why did this happen, and were they targeted, or could it have been other, kids that day. It was just going to be whoever they could get, I think that the Anthony Shots account was talking to multiple people. So much so that if you know how Snapchat works, is I could take a picture and then send it to like 50 of you guys, and you guys would all get the same exact picture at the same exact time. And now let's say that I do that like 10 times a day, and it's a matter of when you want to like look at that snap, and then you write me back. Well, I don't even know what you're writing back to half the time, because I don't remember what I'm sending you. And everybody knows that about Snapchat. You'd have to like set your settings to, 24 hours to be able to still view it, things like that. But part of me believes that if it was a big deal of like making it known that Libby and Abby were going to cross the bridge that day, like, were kids out there doing that, or were they making that known, like I said, like that weekend, but this to me comes across as planned. Otherwise, if it wasn't, we wouldn't be here 5.5 years later. When things are planned, there's a higher chance of, I don't want to say that you're going to get away with something, but when people go rob banks, I mean, they think about it and they try to at least come up with something. This would have been no different. And now you're including multiple people. Unbelievable. And just like the ballpark, all the money cartel. And you're on point. Oh, well, thanks. Truth and transparency, was Richard Allen's house paid for in cash? I haven't seen that it was necessarily paid for in cash. I just know that it was bought in 2006. It was bought in 2006. And I did look into the, I don't think that anybody should disregard someone's past in terms of, I could change my ways, but guess what? The people that I rolled with back in the day, they may not have. And so if they're grungy and still doing whatever, and they think that I am to blame for something that they got popped for because I took a plea deal or something like that, they may have a vendetta against me. It could be for numerous reasons, but if anybody believes that there was a target versus that there was just going to be a killing that day, and it was whatever, kids we could grab or kid we could grab, I mean, I don't know. I'm more towards right now on the fence of that something went way, way wrong. I remember seeing that, there was an equity line taken out. So I did see that. There was no loan written. They had no loan. So that could be true that they paid in cash, but I know that they took, I believe it was an equity line. Or they refinanced. Yeah, I think they took an equity line because there would be no reason to refinance. You would take equity. I don't think this murder is random. The killers knew where these girls were gonna be that day. Yeah, and I think by all the interviews, I agree. I 100% agree. Oh, don't be sorry. Write in. I want to know what you guys know. I want to know what you guys think. Thank you, Maple Beeve. Yeah, you keep doing that. You keep supporting that channel. I think any 13 or 14-year-old, I mean, can you imagine getting the news like that your friend or your classmate was murdered? two girls. It wasn't boys, girls. And I mean, everyone's going to be shocked. And then so to ask him what he thought when he was like 13 or 14, that's even saying that, I don't know how old he is. I go back to searching. I would be searching the shit out of that area, where they were dropped off. They would have no way of getting anywhere else. Or unless I knew something. If I knew something. So if I knew something that, I never told anybody. Do I think that it's possible that there was a ransom? Sure. I just think that people's phone records are going to come into play in courtroom, and I think a lot of questions will be answered. I hope that they cover this case so that America gets to see it. Do you have proof that it was sold to them for $1? Because that's not what my records show. So I'd be interested to see that. Yes. Hybrid, I would agree with that comment. I think it's possible that some players involved knew exactly what the outcome would be, where others did not. Absolutely, I could see that. What is up, Octavia? How are you, love? I don't think Libby was old enough to expose anyone. There's been rumors that Libby was Libby was going to be testifying in a grand jury type thing, or a possibility to some not so good things involved with households. That's never surfaced out in the, I guess you could say, the public. I think that here, I don't think Libby's testimony in a place that's corrupt is going to stand up. So, for example, she could testify and say, yeah, Sarah told me this. Okay, great, thanks. You know what I mean? I just don't think that they'd be able to overcome that without killing somebody, in my opinion. So no, I don't think that that's it. I think everybody, when you hear the words that Richard Allen, did not act alone, you got to go back to the beginning, and that's kind of what I did with what was the plans that day, where they were, who could have possibly been around, who knew that the girls and the whole community didn't have school. Well, that'd be anybody involved with the school system. That'd be anybody that's a parent, a student, But it also mean that these have to be people that aren't working. This happened during the middle of the day. This has to be people that also weren't working. So you're looking at people that would be involved with the school system, unless they still had to go to work, which I don't think that they did. Is this still live? This is live. This is live. I can understand not speaking to the media, but I do not understand a father not showing up at a hearing to face his daughter's murderer for the first time. I don't. Let's see. Yeah, Joan, I'm gonna say I agree with that statement. But so mad I missed. You didn't miss. You're right here. You can just rewind a little later. I'm telling you, if he wasn't there, because I don't know if he was or he wasn't, because I was not there. But if he was not there, when's the last time that anybody has seen him in Delphi? Because my information tells me that he's not in Delphi. So I don't know. I've heard but not confirmed that RA was off that day. Google Maps share live location. Let's see. Again, hello to everybody that is new. Consider smashing that thumbs up. Consider becoming a member of the channel to support it. And I want to show you guys one last thing with the
Do you really have that much pony merchandise? To which I inevitably must answer, you have no idea. Well, I thought I'd take this opportunity to try out my new camcorder as I'm getting ready to go to Brony next weekend to give it a try and show you guys what I've got. So why don't you join me as we take a little walk through my house looking at all of my pony merchandise. This should be pretty fun. Okay, we start out here in my office / computer room, where I do have these two wonderful posters that are actually hanging on the wall. I've got a number of other posters that never made it up on the wall, but you know, these two are, and they look beautiful, especially the one on the left. It's really my favorite, I think for obvious reasons. Over to the computer desk. Oh, what do we have here? Okay, tons and tons and tons of ponies, right? These are some small plushies I have. There's a Derpy. That is a My Little Pony 35mm camera. Yes, that takes 35mm camera pictures. There's a pair of My Little Pony binoculars, My Little Pony duct tape, My Little Pony headphones are in that bag. You have the black Funkos full size. You have some more play.
Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. Tonight, yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight, yeah. show anything. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
I'm sorry.
We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight.
Okay. Yeah, so that's BronyCon 2018. Just a little, snippet. I mean, I don't know what to say about it other than the reason that I'm bringing this up is because of the UltimateBrony 125 account that was the email address of where Libby spent the night that weekend. This is the people in that house had this is one of their email addresses, which was UltimateBrony 125 at, and I'm not divulging the rest. But I was like, I had no idea that this existed. And it was actually Bella that was like, wait, what? You don't know what that means? I thought it was something to do about LeBron James. So that is the truth. And I had to literally research this to the point of I was like, what in the hell is going on? Yes. So another thing I will tell people about is, again, this is trigger warning. So a lot of people in Delphi and surrounding this case, they have aliases and David Earskin. Is it strange that Libby would tell Max about the 19-year-old and not her sister about that boy? They had each other's passwords. Yeah, there was never a name, the Max kid said. It was just a 19-year-old, and he's like, well, you don't even know who that is. No, So that's to answer Joan's question there. Wait, what? This is really a thing? Oh, this is a thing. This is going to Crime Con, but you're going to... it says it's supposed to be pony, but it's Brony.
And the girls are called Pegasisters.
Okay, so then I went and looked at David Earskin's file that I compiled for him, and I came across I don't know if it's a Jesse or a Jess, and I looked at some of his emails, tricks_34, and this Jess, I'm not going to say the last name that this person is using, but I did some researching on this alias, and then it's Jessica Savage, and it's a drag persona. It's a drag persona. So I don't know if David Earskin does drag, but this, this is the uncle of Abby who found the bodies with a couple other people that day. He was the volunteer firefighter. David Earskin was the leaked texts. This has confirmed my suspicions. Well, I'm just simply, don't kill the messenger here. I just research like a mofo. And I do it very, very differently than other people, clearly. But this is, it's real, but yes. Anyways, David Earskin has I don't know if he wants to call another personality. I don't know if it's just a joke, but this stuff links back to him. Not that he's a brony, but that he has Jessica Savage, which dresses up in drag. So, I'm not sure. Again, hey, I bang men and women, so that's not what this is about. This is just simply about are these... I don't think that Delphi comes across as a community that's going to be promoting Pride Week or month. In fact, I would think that Delphi is a community that would, not approve of these type of lifestyles. To the point of Ray Hanish was a gay man. He was strangled and murdered. I'm hoping that his family gets, justice, as the police wanted to try to label it as like not a big deal. But that's for another day. I love that Lana thought it had to do with LeBron James. Well, yeah, because like his son's name's Brony, but then I was realizing that you have to say it like pony, like Brony. So it's like bro, like hey bro. So I can share. I mean, do you think it's too triggering for me to share Jessica Savage's, or can they just look that up themselves?
Yeah, like
But yeah. Anyways, it's and then I followed the money, and it was very interesting where people were living, at the time of the murders, but even before the murders. And I want to, maybe one of you guys could answer this. I want to clarify. Was Libby and Kelsey, were they biological, full blood sisters?
same mom.
Same mom, same dad. I'm glad that Octavia finds humor in my LeBron James comment. Can you imagine LeBron James dressing up like a brony? A brony? Maybe. Just so you guys know, this is real life. Like, this is real. And this email address, UltimateBrony 125, belonged to the household where Libby spent the slumber party. Well, I mean, I wonder if Keegan was involved with being a brony,
He looks like he would be a brony.
Didn't mean all those S's, yes. Octavia says, I just imagine Lana deep diving into this case and coming across, yes, that's exactly what happened to me. And I said, what is this? But these are all dudes? Yes, dudes. I mean, the girls are called not bronies. The girls are called
Pegasisters.
Pegasisters. You guys, they put like butt plugs in.
Well, their butt plugs have tails attached. So the part is inside, but it looks like they're wearing a tail. The scary part about this is it's something that grown men do, and there's little kids who actually like My Little Pony, and they can talk little kids' language. So you could see how somebody who has nefarious thinking could hide in this community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I am local and wouldn't have known any of this shit existed until this case. It's insane. Okay, so there's a Delphi local. Okay, so I think the people that were saying yes to me is because of the question I asked about. I wanted to make sure 100% blood.
Oh, okay, good.
Just double checking on that. And there was a reason that I asked that. And I'm out of the loop. It's okay if you're out of this loop. But let me pull up something else that I want to show you guys. Let's see if it'll come up normal for me. Now, I've told you guys this, and I just really need to reiterate this, but there are so many properties attached to all these people. There's properties that these people have never even lived at, but it's showing up that they live there. And I think I figure out why, but I'm still researching that a little bit more before I give any information on that. But it's very odd. Hold on. Okay, I'm debating on if I'm going to show this or not. This brings furies to a whole new level. Atlanta,
Furries.
Furries? It's like, is it starting to snow out there? Flurries.
So furries are. They also have.
Look up clown. Oh, somebody said, Lana, do you want to laugh? Yeah, I do. Okay, so let me see. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm. But that's what I was saying. Is like.
I'm still here, guys. I was just double checking on something because, yeah. This is just wild. This is just, you know, you guys, maybe I'll do a members only live about it. I feel more comfortable. He is a grown adult collecting and yet sharing his My Little Pony stash. Well, what I thought was interesting is that he's talking about his, you know...
Duct tape?
Well, he does have, yeah, My Little Pony duct tape, but not that, but the plushies. He's like, they're right there underneath my television. Like, what?
Well, plushies and big pillows, like body pillows, are a big thing. You know?
Thank you. I'm glad that I'm not the only one who found that. Also, lots of property sales to bank and forth between the same people. Yes. Money laundering. Yes. 100%. That's exactly what's going on.
Hybrid Pisces said it?
No. It's, yes. There's a ton of that. And there's a ton of properties being passed between, like I said, right after the homicides, this cluster of properties, which I think is very, very interesting only because of who was living there and who, or at least who had, and it was the addresses that are on Boone's Curve Road, 4930, 4950, 4932, 4934. All of that, it was basically bought for pennies, if you want my opinion. I think that buying all that stuff, I don't care what type of condition something like that could be in, but when you pay less than $60,000, the land alone, I mean, also, I never knew that, Becky and Mike had an 11-year age gap. He was 29 when she was 40.
Gotta love it.
Properties being passed, what's that implication? Well, anytime you buy property, you can do a lot by buying property. You can, well, number one thing you can do is when you have a bunch of cash, you can hide it in property. You also can get around paying, if you sell something and then you buy property, you don't have to pay sales tax on that then. And to think I was worried about Freemasons. This is wild. Well, it's the truth. It's true.
Just go look up their toys.
Yeah, go look up Brony's toys. Well, and like I said, guys, the reason that this came about is not out of nowhere. It came about because of the slumber party. And I wanted to know who all was there or who all could have possibly have been there based on people being friends, based on, just, but yeah. And then this is the same person that by all accounts on my investigation is the Alexis girl that went and bought property in Tallahassee and put it under an alias. And it's like, what? I mean, we're talking about a nice house in Tallahassee. Yeah, just wild. And then I also question if she's marrying, because like the man she's gonna marry, he's obsessed with Disney.
Really? Not My Little Pony?
I don't know. I really didn't go down his little rabbit hole of his obsessions.
There's a rivalry, like I like My Little Pony, you like Disney, and then the men bicker about what work they take.
I have a lot of gay friends, and this isn't gay, but no, what I'm saying though, for this Alexis girl and this Brandon kid have been dating for a long time, and it's just rather, I don't know. It is what it is. Thank you for your research. It takes a lot of time and work, and I am so glad someone actually does it. You're very welcome. And I try to be fair with it, and I don't. This is by no means to knock anybody in this investigation. I think that everybody is still. No one's been cleared, and it's still an open investigation, and there's a $250,000 reward right now. So I know that my son can use a nice college. So, how about we all just work on it together and we can all split it. But, yeah, LGBT has nothing to do with, exactly. I say that all the time. But I will say that in small town USA and places, places won't accept you if you're gay. So it's, you know.
Does anyone in chat know if David Erskine was maybe gay? Like, does anyone know?
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
No, I know what I'm asking Santa for Christmas. Speaking of Santa, guys, the tree's getting there. The tree is getting there. But thank you so much for Get Justice, is how I think you want me to say that. God, you know what? I think for the white elephant gift this year, I could buy a brony outfit and put it in.
Or a butt plug.
No.
Just the outfit.
Yeah, just the outfit.
Who would get it?
So, another thing I want to talk about before I wrap this up, because I like to keep these right around 2 hours and try to keep them to the topics of what they're, designed to be about. I think it's important to talk about the fact that the people that would be called associates of, of whether it's, a Derek or a Cody or a Mike or a Becky or any type of aunt, uncle, whoever their associates are. But there was a point in time that, Derek pleaded guilty to stealing the main ingredient in methamphetamines. What is it?
Just call it AA.
I'll call it AA. And again, hey, people do stupid stuff when they're younger. He told the truth, said, yep, I stole this. It was our intent to sell to a third party. We didn't really necessarily have anybody in mind yet, but, we stole these, like, a shit ton of it. And they got caught.
They needed trailers.
Well, allegedly, might have used some trailers, but... but... Let's see. Yeah. I had to get, sorry, I was reading something while I was mid talking. Yeah, I don't even have to accuse anything. I think buying a house, paying cash, then getting $100,000 mortgage and paying that mortgage off in 3 months, then doing that 4 times in less than a year. Yeah, that's the type of stuff that's happening. But what I noticed is there was a lot of people that they didn't own their own homes. They were staying in homes that other people owned. And then literally, then these people that were normally renting from people or just like staying with other people, then all of a sudden they have homes. Like they're buying homes. Again, I was always told to follow the money. You follow the money. Money motive means opportunity. Then don't even get me started on the Oregon shit. So I think that the conversation should be had, that a lot of people in Delphi and the surrounding area, there's a lot of methamphetamines. And in order to have meth, you have to have somebody who's making it and selling it. Okay? And that's just how it is. Otherwise, how are you getting it? Oh, we're all going to Indianapolis? Doubt it. But then you also can't have your whole damn town, messed up on meth. So you got to spread the love around, meaning you get your people in Kokomo and Peru and, You get your people in Young America, and or since you have these large farms, are you farming it? Are you using your farms to basically run an operation? Because you have all this land and you can, get away with certain things that, let's say, somebody in a different area couldn't. Also, you got to throw in COVID in the mix. I mean, I get it. During COVID, there was a lot of, leniency with, not having to pay rent and, things like that, and being able to get help by PPP loans and stuff like that. But I don't look at the things that I see as being COVID-esque, I guess you could say. I think that some people have had drug debts, and they've tried to use females to basically pay for their drug debts. And I wouldn't even go to the fact that maybe that they're trafficking. It's more like people being used to pay off these drug debts, and then here you go, But like I said, that's for another day. But I think when you hear, the prosecutor say that Richard Allen didn't act alone, whether or not you believe that Richard Allen's the guy or not, I do believe that this was a group effort. And now more so than ever, do I believe that those paths were used by an ATV. I think that that's part of the reason that Libby's shoe is off. Also, one person, I don't care, you're not going to be able to control two people not be, screaming or anything like that. And it's just, and then to then walk them all the way to then that specific area to then just, sorry, not happening.
How far was it again?
It was like,
Third of a mile.
Yeah, it was three-fourths of a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And then I question the whole grid search. Why wouldn't the grid search start at the bridge? That's where it should have started. Why were they searching the fields by the Patty residence? I don't understand that. But hey, you were on top of it 1,000%. You deserve the 250,000. Is that why the transmission place is suspect? It's easy to ship drugs. It's funny that you say a transmission place, because a lot of these people have automotive backgrounds, or that's what they say. Yeah, you have to have, yes. Bars, buying restaurants is a great way to launder money. Going into casinos and acting like you lose. You got to go in there, enough, and you could get away with saying that you lost money. You could wash money in casinos. But at the end of the day, I look at things from if you're going to defend Richard Allen, right now, I think whoever's going to be charged for this murder, whether it's one person or whether it's multiple people, they're going to need a lot of hands on deck, going through a lot of discovery. I don't know how Richard Allen can possibly. I would want a speedy trial just because I don't think that they're ready for trial. But he's not going to be ready for it either. But looking at it from a position of everybody's innocent until proven guilty, and right now what I see is I don't like what I see. I don't like it in terms of of our U.S. Constitution. I don't like it in terms of you asked for the public's help for 5.5 years, and now all of a sudden you want to gag the families, law enforcement, and you want to keep a public document sealed. I don't find any of that okay. And no amount of signatures on a petition is going to keep that sealed, in my opinion. Nor should it.
Did you talk about the gag on the family?
Oh, and then I'll leave you guys with a little bombshell. Why would you gag the family? One reason and one reason only. Because I think that World War IX is about to break out. Because I think a lot of people are going to start pointing the fingers at family members. And they're trying to get in front of that. And the best way that they can is by this alleged, let's gag everybody so that they can't, talk. Why would you do that? There's only one reason why. One reason why. And that would be because we can't have these family members going at it because of what's about to come, in my opinion. It's kind of like Aliquippa in a way. Sheldon Jeter Jr. had nothing to do with the murder of Rachel Del Tondo nor Tyreek Pugh in Pennsylvania. But I do believe that the murder of Tyreek Pugh was a setup, and the family member of Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s was involved. And when that comes out, it's going to create World War IX. So, do you personally think the families are involved? No, I just think it's going to come down to, people, if pointing fingers at, because it's going to come down to alibis, and you have to take the stand, and you're going to have to testify to this, that, or the other. But when it comes back and it's not proven, do I think that people have been lying to each other for 5.5 years? Absolutely. Absolutely do I think people have been lying to each other. But that's that's going to be the problem is in court. And when all of this stuff starts coming out during a trial, it is going to, that's not what that, MF told me that for the past 5.5 years. He said he was da-da-da-da. And now, I'm going to, that type of stuff. And not necessarily saying that they, murdered anybody, but it's going to be these lies. There's a ton of lies. I can tell you that right now. People are lying, and people have been lying. And all this does is give reasonable doubt for anybody that's arrested, in my opinion. It gives you a defense. But I'm curious to the people that live in Delphi or the surrounding areas. Have you seen Libby's dad? Because I don't know. I don't know if he lives there. I had somebody come in for a sex find or whatever. Oh, they got him. I do with some members, and there's some cover up, but I rarely say it because most of the channels will jump down your throat. I think that channels, if they just handle it a certain way, then you can say certain things. But I think it's why would Nicholas McLeland, who is related to Derek German, it just blows my mind, through his actual biological dad, not Mike Patty. Why would he be asking for the family to be? You can gag law enforcement because law enforcement's leaking stuff like that, but to gag the families, that would be. Does that mean Richard Allen's family? They can't go out there telling the public it's just woo. So they can't criticize law enforcement. See, in this case, I don't think that that's the reason. Because all they've been is praising law enforcement for 5.5 years. I think the only person that hasn't would be Liberty's mom, right? But, And I also think that anything is swung like that. So absolutely, that's what I would tell. I would tell the family that that's why I'm gagging them. But really, that's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're gaslighting the family by saying that. But yes, could it be, yep, that way the media doesn't bother them? Sure. But 5.5 years, think about this. 5.5 years, I think the family's been bothered like crazy. I almost feel like right now the family doesn't need to be bothered because we're about to get our answers. We don't need them. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, I just think it's for different reasons. But it makes, I mean, from what Nick would tell them is exactly that. Hey, the gag is to protect all of you guys from the media. Oh, okay, yeah, thank you so much. Well, exactly, it's for their protect. But hey. Hey, Lana, is it your deduction that Nick's mom is married to Brad German? Would that involve Terry? He's a cousin. That's I have it through Derek German's dad and Nick's mom. That's where the bloodline is. If I answered that correctly. All right. Well, you guys have been awesome as always. If you guys want to watch this again, feel free. Break it on down. Pass it along. Share it. Like it. Subscribe.
Consider joining the membership because Lana will be doing a live and it'll have more private stuff on it for members only. So please do consider doing that.
It wasn't a ransom, somebody says. Boo, too. Derek was maybe told that. VA Scorpio, nice to see you in here. Love you. Mwah. Mwah. Again, thank you, mods. Mystical. All of you guys that have commented, thank you guys. All of you guys that used your sex find XYZ to chat. Get a life. Do you find it odd that only the 3 Patties speak and the others are pretty silent? Right there. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen any signs of him, and that leads me to believe that my assessment is correct, and that he is not in Indiana right now. So, and as far as do I think it's odd? I think being quiet. Everybody's different. I think what's odd is everybody can see that there's contradicting statements. So I think that's all going to be cleared up, though, with digitals. I'm very curious to see what the type of text messages were. You know, the moment that they're not there when they're supposed to be there to be picked up. What was the tone like? Because I think as a parent, you're not thinking, oh my God, my kid's been abducted and murdered. That's not. I mean, you get that scare chill, okay, but you're thinking that they're with friends and that, okay, she's not answering, like, what's going on? Like, then you're calling other friends or they're being, But I want to know what the interaction was like with those text messages. You know, was it like, are you doing this again? What did we tell you last time? You know, you're going to be grounded for, you know, like, and all of those will be available if the defense does their job. So, will Carter stop talking? I doubt it. I don't know. So, I'd be losing. Oh yeah, I'd be like, absolutely. I think that's why I just go back to, if my especially if my kid couldn't drive and they didn't have friends that drove. So I would never leave where I was supposed to meet them. I would think that they got to be in this area. There would have to be a really, 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 really good reason for me to leave that area. Like a very, very good reason. I wouldn't be driving in a car searching in the nooks and crannies. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. My kid's 13 or 14 years old. My kid's not, like, I know my pattern of behavior with my kid because I'm the one that's giving them rides or picking them up. I'm monitoring their devices, like those type of things. I know when my kid, you have parent instincts, and it'd have to be a really good reason for me to leave that location. So, I hope that the trial is televised. So, yeah, injury would definitely be, you know, on my mind, especially if they're hiking. You know, if you're just saying you're walking the paths, like, that to me isn't hiking. Hiking is getting in the terrain. Hiking is getting, you know, in the woods. Doing trails that would consist of being surrounded by, you know, the woods. But the path, like the pavement, like, So, all right, well, you guys have yourselves a fabulous evening, and we will talk to you soon. Again, thanks for the great chat. You guys are always awesome here, so always welcome.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation. Of this long-term and complex investigation.